That's the time that the temptation comes. And it comes because it's an attempt to move you out of the position to receive the fulfillment of the promise. So, how does the enemy attempt to do that? I'm so glad you asked. It's a little quiet in here, but I'm glad you asked. The enemy tries to do that. Say with me, provision. Provision. And I'm going to give you scriptures. I'm not going to go through all of them. But in the wilderness, Exodus chapter 16, 1 through 3, the people put physical sustenance over spiritual nourishment. I'll repeat that. The people put physical sustenance over spiritual nourishment. They grumbled to Moses and Aaron, and verse 3 says, if only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat and ate pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted, but you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death. Psalms 106, you have to read the whole psalm, but I'm going to take little snippets out. 14 and 15, it sums it up. It says, in the desert they gave into their cravings. In the wilderness they put God to the test. So God, he gave them what they asked for, but sent a disease among them. Mm-hmm. You know the story. That they were tired of manna. Can we ever get tired of bread from heaven? They complained that they didn't trust God for provision. They desired to fill their hunger with the things of old and not trust God to provide. But Jesus chose to trust God in his hunger. The enemy said, if you are the Son of God, tell this stone to become bread. If? Didn't we just hear God say, you are my son? And Jesus answered, it is written, man shall not live on bread alone. Strike one. Where the Israelites chose physical sustenance, Jesus chose spiritual nourishment. Do you trust God when you are hungry? Hungry for companionship? Hungry when you go out and have some retail therapy? Hungry to fill the void that you don't know why you can't be happy? I'm trying. When you are hungry for that thing, do you trust God? Say priority. Priority. So we're trusting God for our provision. Priority. Exodus 32, 1 through 15. You know well, while Moses was having a meeting with God on the mountains, the people gathered around Aaron and said, come, make us gods who will go before us. For as for this fellow Moses, who brought us out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him. They couldn't see him. Psalm 106, 19 and 22 says, at Horeb, they made a calf and worshipped an idol cast from metal. They exchanged their glorious God for an image of a bull which eats grass. They forgot the God who saved them, who had done great things in Egypt, miracles in the land of Ham, and awesome deeds by the Red Sea. Forgot. They forgot what God had done. and they turned to worship an idol made by their own hands. But Jesus. See, Jesus chose to worship God and God alone. After the devil shows Jesus all the kingdoms of the world, he said, I will give you all the authority and splendor. If you worship me, it will be all yours. But Jesus answered, worship the Lord your God and serve him only. See, Jesus prioritized the Father. He knew he couldn't bypass the cross. He couldn't abort the mission. The promise was a sinless sacrifice to atone for the sins of the world. And the only way to redeem and reconcile humanity to the Father was the cross. To be exalted in any other way would dismantle God's sovereign plan. How many plans that God has laid at our feet, in our hands, and we chose not to go the way he told us to do? Jesus prioritized God's plan and chose not to deviate and go off course. I think we should give him praise for that. Because we're sitting here